Anyway, so the last story in it is, like I said, a love story, and it's called Chef Salad. And basically it takes up three components: my history, my dad's history, and then what I sort of envisioned my future could be. And then it just rambles off into a whole completely different other realm. So this time I'm going to tape it. So, anyways. Okay, and the book title is called Six, and number 621.3, Chef Salad. This will seem dated. This will most likely seem dated almost immediately after you've finished reading it. It'll probably be out of date even after you finish turning the page. Regardless, I felt that I should write about this portion of my life. What was important that happened before, what's happening now, and what may happen in the future. Again, it may seem dated. It will seem dated because I was born and raised in a small town for 19 years of my life. The small town that I was born in is in Manitoba, off Highway 16, or the Yellowhead. Highway 16 starts in British Columbia, goes all the way through Alberta, Saskatchewan, and into Manitoba. If you have never been in a small town, then you are missing out on tiny pieces of history. Everything in small towns is dated, and everything that comes out of small towns is dated too. For if you go into a small town, you will see styles that got burned up in a fury 5 years ago. You will see bake sales at the curling rink advertised in cafes and the post office. You will see trucks making U-turns in front of RCMP officers. You will hear cattle prices, hog prices, grain prices, alfalfa prices, canola prices, and Farmer's Almanac weather prospects, all on the dusty radio waves. You'll hear about Jim's son Sammy being scouted by the Toronto Blue Jays and then throwing his arm out weeks later. You will actually feel like you were in a Norman Rockwell painting from years ago. And then you realize that it is all dated. It's just that someone forgot to tell these poor souls that they are not needed anymore because the big cities have taken over, for better or for worse. Sometimes I think it is for worse, but that's for another round. I realized all this once I moved into the big city because I was still dated, even though I'm not 37. Yet I still have this strong bond to the quiet peacefulness and surreal pastoral quality of small towns. I still need the history, and that's why I'm rambling so. I've been in several major cities and several not so major cities in Canada. Victoria, Vancouver, Kelowna, Kamloops, Jasper, Bank, Lake Louise, Edmonton, Red Deer, Calgary, Lethbridge, Drumheller, Lloydminster, Saskatoon, Regina, Brandon, Winnipeg, Thunder Bay, Sudbury, Toronto, Ottawa, Hamilton, Montreal, Quebec City, and all points in between. I've even seen several big cities in the USA. The big cities all reek of convenience, exhaust fumes, anger, hatred, fear, rape, violence, jet engines, drugs, and money. I'm practically deaf from all the things that these people take for granted in these so-called big places. Every time I go for a walk, I feel a million daggers slice my back open to the weathering process. A grimy process that comes from people who are so small in their attitudes and their lifestyles that they need a life preserver every time they urinate. It is the same with almost everyone in these so-called big cities, which to me resemble cold sores on a beautiful woman's mouth. Every one of these big cities are the same. I'm not saying that small towns aren't. They are. But at least they don't have to grasp at their history as it slips away. This I find touching. Touching because I can walk a small town sidewalks and not have to watch my back or worry about some drugged up crazed blue collar workers spraying the streets with bullets. You may ask me why I then moved to a big city, because it sounds as if I hate them and find nothing good about them. It's not true. I do like big cities, and I do find some things good about them. But I will get into this in more detail later on. I go back to my birthplace to see my parents at most twice a year, but no more, because I start to feel like I'm suffocating all over again. Then I go back to the city and I feel like I'm being corroded away, and I need a break, so I go back to the small town I was born in again, and it goes on like this, and it has been going on like this for 18 years. You probably want to know what I do for a living. I'm a writer. I have been a writer for as long as I can remember. I remember writing short stories when I was 10 or so, and my parents saying things like, "What an active imagination," or "He's so creative." That all ended when I turned 16. That's when puberty was finishing, and I was discovering girls, and I was more confused about everything than I've ever been or will be, I imagine. My writings got darker, and what was thought to be imaginative and creative by my parents was reconstructed by them to be strange and silly. Their words changed to, "I don't understand," or "I don't like it," or better yet, "So what?" This is about the time I discovered poetry, but more on this later. I could go on, but it doesn't matter, because it would only make me sound bitter. I will leave that up to my parents to be bitter, for I was supposed to take over the farm when I graduated from high school, but I didn't. I just got up and moved. By this time I had turned 19. I no longer gave a crap about what my parents or anyone else thought, and this is why I moved. Saw a good portion of Canada and a bit of the U.S. All along the way, I wrote and did spoken word shows wherever I could. Cafes, bookstores, bars, even the odd street corner during a festival. Finally, in a big city, someone heard me. This certain someone's job was to find new talent for a mid-sized publisher. The certain someone liked what I had to say, and as the cliche goes, the rest is history. That was when I was about 20. I settled in the big unnamed city, and my first book came out when I was about 21. I starved through a few more years and 2 more books, and finally I got a real job. A local radio station had me DJ a late-night 1-hour poetry spoken word show. When I first went on the air, I was almost 29. Again, I'm now 37. I'm still doing the radio show, and in total I have 6 books. Between the books, radio show, the odd performance, or freelance gig, I'm able to live comfortably in a small house in a trendy area of the city. I'll be paying off the house for about another 10 years or so. The mortgage, jobs, make me feel as normal as I ever will be, I guess. It seems to me that living in and around normal, you start to think that you are normal, even if you aren't. Besides all of this and that, I can come and go when I please. I even get 2 weeks holidays from the radio station. I mainly use the break to reacquaint myself with my parents. The relationship between me and my parents, though, is still strained. I've had friends, I've had lovers, but not many of either, though. Yeah, I know this is jumbled up and mixed up at times, but this is me and this is dated, and I will move on to the main presentation of my autobiography, diary, dialogue, whatever. I would like to believe that this is jumbled up because of the following incident in the cafe I was in. Or hopefully it's not me losing any of my talents. In the cafe, my brain was jumbled up, and that's how I'll begin.